Thank you so much to our listeners and our viewers for joining us today on the Good Enough Mompreneur Podcast. I'm thrilled to be joined by Lydia Hall. She's an entrepreneur, an innovator, and venture lead at Adobe as a part of the Adobe Incubator team. Lydia first entered the startup world by creating AdmitSee, a platform helping students navigate the college admissions process, and today she's helping lead Aqua by Adobe, Adobe's first ever children's app designed to inspire creativity and imagination in a free and ad-free space. So today we're going to be talking about entrepreneurship, innovation, parenting in the age of the digital world we're living in, creativity, confidence, and how we can foster imagination and curiosity in both our children and ourselves as mom entrepreneurs. So welcome to the podcast, Lydia.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm excited for this conversation. You're very much inspiring other mom entrepreneurs because you're in the tech space, which is such a male-dominated space, but you're also using your experience as a mom and an entrepreneur to create tools and resources for parents in the digital age that we're living in. So I'm really excited to talk about your journey, like your entrepreneurship journey. How did you go from entering the world of startups and creating AdmitSee and now Aqua?
Yeah, great to be here. I honestly, my career path is more like a series of car crashes. It was not a predestined route where I said I wanted to go and be a tech entrepreneur. I was in grad school at UPenn for law and Wharton, and there was a Wharton business plan competition. This is back in 2011, 2012. Entered that and really just built a business out of it. We raised a few million and wanted to solve something which we had just experienced, which is navigating how to apply to schools. From there, just stayed with startups, stayed with tech, and now I'm at one of the biggest companies in the world, Adobe, building within a big tech company.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's really fascinating because even as entrepreneurs, we can find ourselves in these adjacent roles to larger companies and really need to find a way to keep that entrepreneurial mindset and spirit that I think that we're tapped to have, but still in that larger company role. So can you just talk about ways that you can keep that entrepreneurial mindset while you're part of a bigger company like Adobe?
Sure. I think if you're an entrepreneur, it's just in you. And it's something about wanting to solve a problem and not being able to let it go until you've really solved it, put your heart into it. And when you're at a big company, it's about making sure that you want to affect change, that you're not just trying to clock in and hit your OKR goals for the quarter, but instead you're thinking about what are some other big problems both at the company and with our customer base that we can solve for. Being vocal, showing up, being in the office and talking to people about how you can have an impact there.
Mm-hmm. I Do you have any thoughts about, even as a female in a male-dominated industry like tech, what are some ways that you can continue to be an advocate for your ideas and innovation when you feel like maybe not everybody in the room is going to look like you, or most people in the room
Yeah.
are going to be male?
I think the most important thing is to find both mentors and sponsors. A mentor is somebody who you can really learn from, understands their career path, and make better decisions about how to have your voice heard. And a sponsor is someone who's going to advocate for you even when you're not in the room. And they don't need to be female. In fact, I think a lot of times the thing we struggle with women is people who are ahead of us in our career aren't necessarily making time for us. There's a little bit more competitiveness between females that I hope is changing. But finding people who are going to be your mentors and sponsors, that helps a ton. And it also smooths that not necessarily looking like everyone else in the room when you have those other people advocating for you and to people to learn from.
Yeah, I think those are really great tips and can definitely be helpful. But I think so much too about advocating for your ideas and
Mhm.
innovations and things that you have that need to be expressed and advocated for is knowing that you deserve to be there. And so much of that is confidence and resilience and trusting yourself and the ideas that you have. So, do you have any thoughts on how we can better do that as well?
I think it's just surrounding yourself with other people who are confident and who are doing the things that you want to do. We're the average of the people we surround ourselves with. I remember seeing this quote from the CEO of Dropbox that it was like, remember a circle. And it's like your circle is who you are. I think just choosing the right people and being around them, they'll lift you up. That's the important thing, is to find people who really lift you up. And that's outside of work as well.
Oh, we talk a lot about on this podcast being intentional about all things and including the company that you keep. And it is so important and it really impacts us and how we feel about ourselves and what we think is possible. Definitely agree with that. So let's talk about the inspiration behind Aqua because I think this is a really topic that we need to be talking about now. And I think it's so inspiring that Adobe is finding itself in this space as well. So, talk about what inspired you to create it.
Sure. So Adobe has this wonderful program where you can actually go and speak to execs and pitch new business ideas for the incubator, where they'll incubate new startups within the company. And I had been in Adobe for a while. I've used Adobe products my whole life. Some of them are a little bit complicated. I wanted something I could use with my daughter, use with, she's 4 years old. I wanted to use something that easy enough that I could inspire her creativity. And what I saw from the kids' creative space is that there were either very easy, basic coloring page type of apps that she would play for a week and then forget, or there were these professional tools, and I couldn't find anything that would grow with her and bridge that gap. So we presented this to the Adobe execs as let's have something that can grow with kids, that can inspire their creativity. And that was how it started. And then from there, we just worked with kids to figure out what it is that they wanted because we know we don't have all the answers. So we went and focus grouped and worked with kids, created Aqua by Adobe.
And so, what also makes it really different from a lot of things out there available for kids is that it's free, it's
Mhm.
ad free, and it's also AI free.
It's always start with your art. So I think when
Okay.
people think about AI, they think about typing something in and then it generating an image. And we don't have any of that in Aqua. There's none of that, what people typically think of as AI. But what you can do is when you've finished a drawing, created a dress, for example, you can go and see it in 3D in your room. So you can go and then actually stand next to a 3D design model of your dress and be able to stand next to it. So that's using AI to be able to see something in your room. And that gets kids really excited. But very much always starting with your art. And you were right about it's completely free. You're never going to hit a paywall. There aren't going to be any ads. It's a delightful experience because I use it with my own daughter. Most of the people on the team are parents. We know how frustrating it is when you hit paywalls every 2 seconds and you see your kids going on these ad rabbit holes. No, can't have any of that.
And I imagine that's what you were hearing from other parents when, please, can we have something that's not, we constantly have to pay to use it or is influencing them in some way. So, yeah, I think that is amazing. And I'm sure parents will be delighted by that. But so, what are some of the concerns that you're also feeling as a parent and hearing from the groups that you were testing Aqua with? What are some of the concerns they have? Was Aqua designed to be a solution to many of those? I know we talked about some of the ad and the paywalls.
Yeah, I think just kids spend so much time on their screens, and we didn't want it to be something where they were getting even more screen time. We wanted this instead to replace what they would be doing anyway. So when you're in the back of a car, when you're on the airplane, when you need something on the go, we wanted to be able to have your art studio on the go. That way, kids, instead of watching mindless TV and passive clicking. They're building really strong skills. That was important to us when building this.
Mm. And then you also mentioned that it grows with them. So it's
Mhm.
something that they're not gonna just be interested in a short period of time. So how does the app actually grow with the
Yeah,
user?
so it's funny. I have one of my handy mugs right here. The app looks like this. So there are all of these different islands that you can navigate to.
Oh, I love that.
And over time, new islands emerge. So you'll see a volcano, and just like a real island emerges, the volcano will erupt and go down, and the island will form from it. So that way, it's a world of creativity that's constantly growing with your kids, and each of the islands has something new to do. So,
Hmm.
for instance, there's tracing tropics, where you can trace over photographs and also over famous art and make it your own.
Hmm.
There are tutorial videos that we've curated from children's book illustrators, so you can follow along and learn from children's book illustrators. That way, instead of thinking about at night, you read books to your kids, we thought, like, let's actually teach them how to make their own books.
Mm.
So it's a lot of just constantly growing new content, new activities for kids to keep them creative.
Yeah, and I think that that just really sounds like something that would really nurture creativity and imagination in kids, which I think, like you're talking about, when they're mindlessly kind of watching things and clicking, they tune out. They're not thinking creatively. So, is there anything that you've learned in this process that can help us as parents nurture that creativity, not only with our children, but in ourselves as entrepreneurs, because we can too get caught in a rut and we're just going through the motions and not having that creative inspiration that I think makes us so unique and special, in what we do.
Yeah, I think it's helpful for everyone to keep drawing and creating art. Something I learned through this process is that most people stop drawing around the age of 8 or 9. You think about it, we all start our lives as artists. We all
Mm-hmm.
remember drawing all the time as kids. And it's still so important to have that, physical holding a stylus or holding a pencil and drawing and being able to express yourself. And it improves your communication, it improves your resilience, and it's a great thing to do for your mental health. So I think as female entrepreneurs, it's something that we should also be making time to do every day. And they say if you can just spend 10 to 15 minutes a day sketching, doing something physical like that, there's so many benefits to it. So I'd say, you don't need to just have your kids be making art. You could be making art with them. And a lot of what we have in the app is side by side things where, the kid will create the head of the creature and the parent will create the body of it. And a sibling might create the legs. There are things like that where you're passing the iPad back and forth and creating. I think it's great for parents to draw as well.
That's really fascinating. And I recently heard about a study with those who were at advanced age and had no dementia. One of the distinguishing factors was that they put pen to paper every day. And so I love that, in this digital world, we can't forget how important that hand to paper or stylus to, making that connection in our brains, to get it out, whatever it is that you need to
Exactly.
draw or
Yeah.
write. I just love that this app can fosters this interaction between children and parents or caregivers to work on projects together. I think that that's really awesome. I think I read something too where, also using our non-dominant hand fosters creativity. I don't know if you found
Mhm.
any of that in your research to build
I
this app.
have I have seen that. I've tried to, start swapping which hand I use my toothbrush and doing that. I'm so useless with my left hand though. I swear if I ever broke my right hand, I'd have to go on medical leave because I'm like, I don't know, I don't even know why this exists. But yeah, what is it called? It's about like building up your cognitive storage or something where it's just, yeah,
Hmm.
continuing to grow and light up your brain is very
Hmm.
important.
Yeah, and I think in addition to what you have helped to create with Aqua and fostering creativity and imagination and talking about how important that is with us as adults, it's also as a mom thinking that I have something to contribute and I have an idea that's really important and that could not only help me, but it can also help so many others. So, what is some advice that you might have for moms who are listening and aren't sure about whether their idea would be important or whether they should even share it?
Yeah, I mean, always share it. And I think some people are very protective of their ideas, like someone's going to steal it. And it's like, no, like no one's going to steal your idea. If you've had this idea, other people have had this idea. It's about everything comes down to execution.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's about talking through ideas and figuring out who you can work with to really help bring them to life. And so I would say just find people who want to brainstorm with you and think about how you can bring this together. And there's no rush. I mean, it's I think the other thing people feel all the time is like, I've had this idea, I haven't done anything with a while, with like who cares? Just do it on your own timeline. I saw something about most women go through a career change at 40 and don't become millionaires until 50. It's, like you're on your own timeline.
Mm-hmm.
Don't feel like you need to do it right now. I'm the
Mm-hmm.
opposite of leaning in. I'm like, it's okay to lean out at points. Lean in when it makes sense for you.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that really stuck to me was when my daughter was in the third or fourth grade. I was a Girl Scout troop leader, and we had to go through training. And one of the things that just stopped me in my tracks and really contributed to me starting this podcast was that at the age of 10, it would be the height of their confidence until they were probably in their late 30s or 40. And I
Yeah.
thought, we're losing decades, and
Yeah.
and there's no need if we know about it. I think that is one of the most important things. If we're aware of it and we know, like, this is something we need to change. But I really love that you mention once you have the confidence to do it, not pressure yourself to get it done by a certain time. But like you said, execution is definitely important. So, do you have any tips for implementing that execution, whether it's simplifying steps or something like that that helps you make sure that no matter how big the idea is, it still gets done?
Yeah. I think when it comes to execution, there are so many great AI tools now to help you get there, where you can have a conversation with Claude or ChatGPT or Copilot, whatever your preferred is, and say, act as a startup co-founder. Here's my idea. What are the next steps to make this real? And they'll tell you sort of what you can do and
Yeah.
brainstorm with you. And so
Mm-hmm.
you can have conversations and say, I want to raise a Series A. What would I need to do to take this idea from something in my head to actually something I could present to prospective investors?
Mm-hmm.
Where can I get my initial users? How can I test this? It's so much easier to do that now than back in 2012 when I was starting and feeling my way through this, trying to meet with professors and ask them like, what do I do next? You can say, pretend I'm at business school. What would you advise me? What books would you suggest I do? You can listen to podcasts now, like like Angela, just like the one that you have, and really learn from people. So yeah, I think that's the most important thing to do if you have an idea and want to take it to execution.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm always an advocate of trying to use AI as a partner. We're
Mhm.
not talking about outsourcing our thinking, but yeah, giving you some ideas on how you can actually bring something to fruition and give you a time. And you can even go back and have a conversation like, okay, the timeline changed. For whatever reason, I couldn't meet that. Continue the conversation. I think that's so
Yeah.
important to begin to think, if you haven't already, to think about using AI in that way and listening to conversations like this one and finding mentors and, like you said, sponsors, even if you're not in that company level yet, reaching out to people and just maybe consuming their content about how you can go forward with your ideas. So, we talked about so much from parenthood to developing a new tech resource, but what is it that you want to leave listeners, parents, and their children, and what do you hope that we don't lose about creativity and imagination when we're just going about our ordinary lives, whether we're just being parents or we're creating things like a new app?
Yeah, I think creativity is so important. One of the things you said earlier, as far as the confidence going down from 10 to all the way to 40, experts have tied that into the stop, where you stop creating and you just become in this absorption mode. I think you need to have a creative output and hold on to that. It's so important. Aqua is a free iPad app. You can go to aqua.adobe.com and do it on your computer. But anything, just grab a piece of paper, grab a pen, notebook, just start making a regular habit of creating art or playing an instrument or, Winston Churchill laid bricks. You have to do something physical in order to get yourself out of your head and move your hands. It's so important.
Yeah. I love that. I think it's been a while since we talked about on this podcast how you need that creative outlet. And I love how you put it in absorption mode. 'Cause
Yeah.
I think a lot of us are constantly in absorption mode. It's like drinking from a fire hose these days.
Right? It's absorb and react.
Right.
And how many things are on your schedule and this balancing act? You need to do something physical to get out of that.
Right. And then finding something that inspires our own creation of our own content. I'm always like trying to check myself, like, am I creating as much as I'm consuming? Like, I always try to be
I don't
cognizant.
think anyone can do that, but I mean, we can't walk, down the hall without consuming something.
Right.
But
Right.
yeah, I applaud you for hoping to.
Yeah, well, I mean, I try to think about it. I'm like, maybe I've just watched a little bit too much YouTube today.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I had to delete that app.
Yeah, no, I love that. It's been a great conversation. It's like I said, we've talked about parenthood. We've talked about having the confidence to create and advocate for your own ideas, and then having that creative inspiration and fostering that and being aware of it and cognizant of it. Is there anything else that you'd like to leave with listeners from our conversation today?
Just make time for yourself. I think for moms everywhere, it's something that we forget to do. And I'm a huge advocate of that. I'm going out to dinner tonight with two of my mom friends, and it's really great. If you could do that at least once every other week, I would say get it on the calendar, block it off, make it essential. Um, spending time with other moms and women is so important for you.
Yeah, no, I love
It's
that.
important for me at least.
No, I think it is, especially in this digital world where, so many of us work remotely or have remote teams. We also don't interact with those we work with in the same way anymore. And so, yeah, when you're just always having conversations with little people,
Right.
which are great and stimulating, but still there is a different level when we're actually able to have conversations like this, which fill my bucket
hmm
and yeah, really moves the needle. And I think it helps us realize who we are and how important it is that we do what we do outside of being parents. So I love that reminder.
Yeah.
So tell listeners where they can connect with you, find Aqua, and all those things.
Of course. So Aqua is aqua.adobe.com. I'm available on LinkedIn. My name is Lydia Hall at Adobe. So you can always look me up and connect with me, send me a message through LinkedIn. yeah, I'd love to connect and hear from other mom entrepreneurs.
Yeah, thanks, Lydia. It's so important that even somebody who's a part of Adobe and an incubator and creating these high level projects to still have conversations where you're like, yeah, I'm going out to dinner with my mom friends and I use this with my daughter. It's really inspiring and it really lifts up other female entrepreneurs and mom entrepreneurs. So I really appreciate your time and it's an important conversation.
Thank you, Angela. It's great being here.
Thanks.